Awesome. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm Dr. Manon Fielding. I've been a holistic chiropractic physician for 30 years. I recently kind of changed my um, audience, I guess you would say, to working more with women in menopause and beyond, an anti-aging program. And the program is called Holistic Strategies for Eternal Youth, Menopause and Beyond. And it works on the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual, meaning connecting, the energy. And when we work on those levels, we have a more complete healing. The reason why that's important is because, and we're going to talk about that in relation to pain, if you have a lot of pain or you have all kinds of health conditions, they often are the result of internalized emotions. That happens a lot with trauma. It happens a lot with stress and feeling overwhelmed. And I'll go into that a little bit more in detail as we go on here. But if we connect on all those levels and remove those blockages and work on the physical aspect of pain, it won't come back. It will completely resolve it. So when I was going through menopause, I had very severe migraines to the point where I ended up hospitalized a few times. They had to give me shots to really deal with the acute problem, and it was very severe with the nausea and vomiting, and it really interrupted my ability to function in my life. I also had really severe pain in my leg, in my right leg, because I'd had an accident there and had injuries that developed were arthritis. And after I had a car accident, I was hit by as a pedestrian by an SUV, and the pain that I had in that leg that I broke and the feet, my doctor actually, one of the foot doctors said that I might not be able to walk normally and I was going to have severe pain for the rest of my life. So you can imagine, I'm a chiropractor and I have to stand all day. I was like, this is not going to work for me. So this is when I started really learning about menopause and pain and really learning how to work with it and what kind of practitioners and what kind of things I can do on my own. And I'm happy to say that today I have almost no pain, and I'm almost 70 and I feel great and I have great energy. Oh, something came up here. So I'm going to share a lot of that with you today. So when we hit menopause, obviously there's a change in hormones. Of course, everybody kind of knows that, but I think very few practitioners really understand it on a holistic basis. And what the whole medical profession does is just throw hormones at it and then say, okay, you should be all better now. I'm done. I've done my job. I gave you a prescription, and that's pretty much it with all kinds of pain, with any kind of, any issues like gastrointestinal issues also increase at menopause. All of the organs and joints respond to the change in estrogen. However, there are quite a few other things that we can do besides that, and also understanding that any kind of pain is a warning sign that something is wrong. And one of the things that I did learn in chiropractic school, they talked about, well, if you were running out of gas and you're driving and you run out, you have the gas light come on. If you turn off that light and it doesn't say it anymore, you don't have the warning sign, but it's really not going to help you very much because you're still going to run out of gas. So that's really the same thing as pain. If you think about it, the body is giving you a warning. Any kind of symptom is giving you a warning. Pain is one type of symptom. Gastrointestinal, like GERD and indigestion, is a warning sign. And if you only put a medication in to close out that symptom, you're really not getting to the crux of the problem, and you're going to often get another problem. And that other problem, they're going to give you another medication for that one. And then you're going to end up, I can't tell you, like some of my older patients how many medications they're on. Like, they bring in their list, and I'm like, oh my God, like, oh, there's not a whole lot you can do once you're on those many medications. So let's talk about what we can do to not get to that point. And when you're in menopause, you have a chance to make a change and make a transformation. And that's what the program that I do is all about, that Holistic Strategies course and coaching program. So I'm going to give you a little bit of that today. And I hope that you will join me for the whole course, and I'll explain that a little more at the end. All right. So why do we have this happen during menopause? So I said you have the estrogen levels. That's one thing. The other thing is stress. So if you've been under stress for various reasons, you have, physical stress, that's one thing. You're in pain, that's a stressor. We also, during menopause, often start having relationship issues. Things are changing in the home, and we don't get along with everyone as well because everybody's kind of making this shift. You might be at work, you might have work stress, you might have, I've seen a lot of women talking about having a lack of confidence in their lives, and that is a stressor because you have still all the world is going on, and you have less confidence, and you're not being able to deal with it as well, and it starts to feel like a heaviness and that's where a lot of women have anxiety and start developing depression. And I've seen a lot of isolation where you're not really going out and doing as much, and you're not as outgoing as you may have been in the past. The other thing that can happen is sleep disturbances. And this can happen from the change in estrogen, but it's also related to changes in cortisol. And that's one of the signs of having altered cortisol levels. It could have like just a generally too high level of cortisol, or it may be that it's fluctuating and higher. If it's higher at night when it's not supposed to be at night, then it will interrupt your sleep and make it difficult to have a good sleep pattern. And we really need to sleep like 7 to 9 hours a night. And if we're not getting that sleep, that can actually increase our pain levels. Then there's also the psychological factors, which I did touch on briefly. Mood swings, that's another one that has major impact. And I remember that was another thing that I had, the mood swings, like I would just get really angry, seeming like for no reason at all. And you can imagine, and you may have experienced this, how that affects your relationships when you have these mood swings and you act quickly out of having a swing like that. You're going to interrupt your relationships, and it's going to affect a lot of things in your life and change your experience. The other thing with cortisol that I wanted to bring up, hold on one second, I just want to make sure I cover everything. So cortisol is kind of an interesting thing, and it's the hormone that we use for fight or flight. And when we have anxiety and we're in menopause, a lot of that fight or flight response kicks up. And that's what increases that cortisol level. Cortisol can be a good thing because it is anti-inflammatory, but when it's chronic, it seems to increase our experience of pain because of its interaction in our brain with neurotransmitters that deal with pain. And actually, I'm not going to go into too much detail because, to tell you the truth, when I looked on the National Institute of Health website about this, they basically said that it's very complex and we don't really understand how it works, but this is what happens. So I'm just telling you, when you have that fight or flight response, you are going to have an increased perception of that pain. So that's one of those things. Now, how do we learn to control some of these factors? And there are many things we can do in terms of food and nutrients. So that's one aspect. There's different types of relaxation techniques. I'm going to go into a little bit of that. I did mention in terms of sleep, the more and better quality of sleep that you have, the less pain that you will have. And then exercise. Exercise is a biggie. And I think a lot of people think that they can just eat. They might try to eat well and take nutrition, and then they skip the exercise part. You can't skip the exercise part. The exercise, even if you just do 20 minutes, so I would like to get it up to 40, but 20 minutes of moderate exercise, not vigorous. And that's another, I won't go into the vigorous exercise because that does extend life. But in terms of pain management and stress, even 20 minutes is going to be beneficial. So 20 minutes of walking, Tai Chi, yoga, I don't know what other kind of movement, stretching, stretch routine. And I have a copy on my YouTube site. If you look up Holistic Strategies for Eternal Youth on YouTube, I have a complete stretch routine from head to toe, and it is both relaxing and energizing at the same time. And then I have a complete 20-minute exercise routine that's from head to toe, also using your whole body, and it doesn't require any equipment, and it's easy. So those are things that you can do if you can't get outside. I know, like in Florida, a lot of people don't go out a lot, especially during the day, because it's too hot and humid. The humidity just like overwhelming. This time of year, maybe not so bad. But the other thing I do that personally, when I can't get outside, is I do YouTube videos, and there are some really good ones. And I'll recommend to you The Body Project is one that's a low impact, so you want to avoid doing heavy exercise. If you have any joint problems and any arthritis, you don't want to be jumping too much or running too much. I mean, running has its benefits. I'm not saying don't run, but it does increase our stress on our joints. So those are some things like physically that you can do. So that's exercise. In terms of these are also things that can naturally increase estrogen. So I did want to go into that for a second too, is that for those of you who don't want to be on estrogen that is given by your doctor, exercise actually increases your natural estrogen, that your body will start to make it on its own. So that's one thing. And when you get the adequate sleep, it does. Then there are some things called phytoestrogens. You might have heard that soy products, flax seeds, beans, legumes, and whole grains all help to increase your own natural estrogen and work on your estrogen receptors so that your body thinks it has more estrogen. And I personally never did take estrogen. I thought about it, and my doctor was trying to get me to do that. But using these natural methods, I found ways to not have to take it, and my bone density is great. And I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about breast cancer, that there are things you can do to prevent that don't require you having to take estrogen. So those are plant foods that are helpful. I also recommend a wide range of colorful vegetables. So you really should be eating 3 to 5 vegetables a day. And I love for you to choose some leafy greens, because that has a lot of calcium, and that will help you with your bones, believe it or not. And have a wide variety of colors. So you get yellow vegetables, orange, purple. The more different colors that you incorporate over a week, those phytonutrients help with estrogen. They just help, and they have antioxidants that are going to protect against breast cancer and all kinds of cancers. I can't even stress enough to you how important they are. And I do have a video also about organic vegetables, and I do want to just mention that real quickly, because there are some, what do you call it? I just lost, there's a Manon moment right there. There are things that are used in the soil to grow fruits and vegetables, the non-organic, that actually interfere with your estrogen, and they can be very harmful, and they interfere with your thyroid as well. And so the more organic you eat, the less chance you have of interfering with those with your hormone system because of those chemicals. Okay, those chemicals, they have even found their way into tampons and diapers. I realized when I was researching this how extensive it is, and that's worldwide, unless it's been banned in your country, which I think England definitely ahead of the U.S. in that regard. Okay, so those are the vegetables. We talked about exercise, maintaining a healthy weight. That helps with your estrogen as well. And that's a whole other topic, but I'll just say briefly, if you have problems with weight, you want to eat more protein, and you should be eating protein at every meal. So it's not okay to eat cereal for dinner or popcorn for dinner or breakfast. You need to incorporate, if you eat an egg with it, that's good. And especially if the cereal is whole grain, because the whole grains is going to help you reduce that as well. And I do have a whole section of our course involved with diet, but eating enough protein at every meal. Kind of think about having 100 grams a day split up throughout your day, and think about that. For one, eating more protein and fat helps to change your brain's response and feeling full. So you're going to want to eat less. And it also works with other other anti-aging hormones that help keep your glucose levels down and help you with aging. And part of that is how it affects your hormone system, and you will lose weight. I don't care how much fat you eat. When you're trying to lose weight, there's really no limit to what we recommend, because we know that if you eat the protein and fat, you're going to lose weight, and just choosing the healthy vegetables and fruits, if you just ate that, you would be much healthier, you would lose the weight, you'd have a lot less pain. So I'm not advocating to eat like big steaks at every meal, that's not what I'm saying, but eating enough protein and fat. So good fats, unlimited with olive oil. Canola oil is good too. That's a monounsaturated fat. Limit, you can eat saturated fat, but don't make that the majority of it. Flaxseed oil is a really good one. And of course, the omega-3 fatty acids. So any kind of fatty fish. And I had a professor who had very severe rheumatoid arthritis and a lot of pain before he became a chiropractor. And he studied nutrition and exercise, and studied all of these basic lifestyle things that we kind of take for granted. And he went back in improving his sleep, staying outside a little bit every day, and he changed his whole diet and got rid of all and started eating like I was just talking about, and eliminating. So that the three most offensive foods in terms of pain are sugar, dairy, and wheat. Wheat is another big one. And people who have sinus pain and sinus problems all through the year, often one of those is going to be the offender. Then you have corn is another one. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of that. But if you're eating a lot of those products and you're having a lot of pain, try eliminating that for 30 days and see how much better you feel. All right, so and then stress management is another way to reduce pain. I know probably a lot of you have know that meditation is good, but maybe you don't know how to meditate, or I hear a lot of people say, but I can't quiet down my mind long enough to meditate. Well, that's the whole point. That's what meditation is for. And you don't have to sit there for 30 minutes and meditate. You can do 5 minutes and start with very simple, just slow breathing. Just breathing and focusing on your breath. If that's all you do, you're still helping calm down that stress response. You're staying present in the moment, which reduces the feeling of stress and keeps you present in that moment, and you reduce your anxiety level. There's a breathing technique called the 4-7-8 breath. And if anyone's interested, I can send you a sheet on that. You just take a deep breath from your belly, breathe all the way up for your chest, and just don't raise your shoulders like that. Hold it for a count of 7, and then breathe out for a count of 8. And focus on that, the counting and the breath. 4, hold 7, breathe out 8. That technique has been taught in the military to a lot of men and women who had severe PTSD. And when they started practicing that on a regular basis, they started having a lot less pain and emotional pain. I mean, emotional pain often leads to physical pain. So that slowing down our breath and doing that on a regular basis is another thing that we can do to relieve chronic pain. And you probably notice when you're in a lot of pain that you're breathing very shallowly, and that just actually, it's kind of a response that we have. That's part of that when we have high cortisol and we have a stress reaction, but it's contradictory rather, to actually fixing the problem. So those are all important things that you can do. So the last one is that things that you can do yourself is avoiding excess alcohol and caffeine. Doesn't mean you can't have a drink or can't have, in fact, having a glass of wine every day is very anti-aging because of the resveratrol in the wine, and having a drink is good, but you don't want to have, women can't process alcohol as well as men, and if you're drinking more than 1 or 2 in a day, that's definitely going to contribute to your pain perception and your pain. And excessive caffeine. All right, so those are there. Okay, another one is, we talked a little bit about it, but the omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acids are very pain reducing and help a lot with inflammation. I recommend, this is something that you should be doing every single day, taking some form, either in food, it can be in food, or a supplement. And probably around 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams, I think it's in milligrams, a day will, depending on your level of inflammation and your level of pain, is what you need. And usually if you do it for a period of time, you'll be able to, kind of reduce it after a while. The other one that has a lot of omega-3s is walnuts. I forgot about that. Walnuts is really good in terms of helping with that hormonal balance and helping to reduce pain. And a very important one is vitamin D. A lot of women, a lot of doctors really don't understand the value of vitamin D. Vitamin D now, with longevity specialists, they often look at your vitamin D levels as the #1 important factor in terms of your overall well-being, which is kind of amazing, really. I mean, we grew up knowing that you're supposed to go out and get some sunshine to get vitamin D, but only in the last 5 years or so have they really recognized how important it is for our health. So when I started taking increased vitamin D, my own estrogen levels were much higher and were much better, and my pain level went down, and a lot of I started feeling better in general. And so I recommend all women taking at least 5,000 IU, and you might need more, but that at least is, we know that that's a safe amount, In fact, up to 10,000 is considered safe for everyone. And in the winter when you're not going outside as much, or you don't go outside, and plus as we get older, we don't process vitamin D as well anyway. So the vitamin D, now they found that it protects against 83% of breast cancer. Okay, 83%. So I think every gynecologist, every doctor should be talking about that. Okay, you're asking about K2. So there's a little bit of controversy about K2 because K2 is in a lot of things that I'm recommending you eat, and we do store it, whereas vitamin D does not get stored. It's one of the fat-soluble vitamins that we actually need on a daily basis to take. I don't think it will hurt you to take with the K2, but the research is not as definitive on whether you have to take it with K2. If you do, that's fine. I was taking it with K2 for a long time, and now I'm not, because a lot of the people that I follow in terms of the longevity science are, say it's controversial and it's more expensive. So maybe try to get it from your diet. I'm trying to remember. So green vegetables, like I was talking about, the leafy greens have K's in them. I know we don't eat a lot of liver, but liver is one of them. Eggs, I eat eggs a lot. Eggs has K in it. So if you're eating some of the foods that have K in it, don't worry so much about that. And if you're taking the omega-3 fatty acids, that helps to keep your arteries clean also. So you're not going to have as much need, because that's what the K is for, to help prevent atherosclerosis. All right, that was a good question though. Let me see here. Okay, herbal supplements. So herbal and nutritional supplements to help with the estrogen levels and pain. So one of the ones I wanted to talk to you about today is the turmeric. Okay, turmeric, I take this one, and it's not the only one, I'm just giving you an example, but turmeric with ginger, BioPerine, and Boswellia. The reason I like it with the Boswellia is that Boswellia helps a lot with pain and the perception of pain, whereas the turmeric is more anti-inflammatory. So both of them work really synergistically together, and that's